You are entering the cosmos.
It's casual, not formal. It's hosted by Rory Penland. Oh, with Jonathan and Renee in tow. It's time to start the show. 1, 2, 3, go!
Okay, good evening, everyone. Got a very interesting show for you. Um, this is a first now, or this is a record, I should say. These are the two youngest guests I think I've ever had on the show. Oh, Renee, you can back me up on that. I think.
Yes, they are the youngest, but I'm gonna say the most professional and some of the best guests.
Well, and again, yeah, just because I said they were the youngest doesn't mean that that they're any less of a guest than any other guest that I've had on. I just wanted to point out it's kind of like the thing with on Saturday Night Live when they had Drew Barrymore on the first time,
Oh
and she
yeah,
was the
that's right.
youngest guest on Saturday Night
Yes.
Live, and it was a great show. You know, she was fantastic. She was a lot of fun.
You know what's
So
great about this, Rory, is that then in the future, when they're household names, when LindaRose and Lilly May are household names, it's going to be so cool because people are going to be watching this. Hello, future people. Yes,
yeah,
we recognize their talent very early on. We were in it early. There you go.
and they're going to go back and watch this when they're older, and they're going, "Oh my God, why did I say that?"
That's what I do. I do. No, they're going to love every part of it. It's going to be so great. So I'm happy
I
to
hope
have them
so.
here. Yeah, it's
Again,
going to
I
be cool.
as a host, trying to come up with interesting questions for these two.
Yeah.
They don't have as much background as a lot of people that I've researched to try to get questions for.
They have a lot
Um,
of foreground. That's what
but
we said in
yeah,
the meeting today. They have the
again,
future.
I was one of the first ones that said when I saw their show, "Wow, this is going to go somewhere." Of
Right.
all the
Yeah.
shows that I've seen, and again, I have a lot of respect for all of the shows. This one has huge potential, I think.
Yeah. And it basically already went viral. It's so cool. Like
Yeah.
just a few episodes in, they're already getting, over 1,000 views. I don't even know where it stopped because you have to add up all the different platforms. But trust me, thousands of people are watching them. They are just taking off and they're still in season one. Just
Yeah.
think of that. They are still in the season one. So
Yeah.
isn't it cool? Like check back season two, season
How
three.
many shows have they done so far?
Gosh, we'll ask them. Is it six? I can see you girls backstage. Can someone give me
Go
a
ahead and bring them
number?
on up. Let's
Is
go
it
ahead and ask
six?
them
Let's
that
bring
first.
them up. Okay,
Bring them
Linda
up.
Rose is telling me six. Okay, here they are. So let me give them an introduction. They're confirming that it's been six. Okay, that's how early are we here. Okay, so we have Linda Rose. She's going to read some poetry for us. So everyone definitely wants to stick around for that.
You
We
want to
have
ask them
Lily
around?
May,
Yeah, that'll
and
be later.
Yep, and then Lily May's going to play 3 songs for us. So she's ready to go too. She's got her piano. I see her there. And hopefully they'll talk a lot about
And her
Orchid
guitar.
Times and the guitar. Orchid Times, of course, is every week on Cosmos and Tardon Media, and it's on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. So the same time as tonight, only tomorrow. Come on back, and you'll get to see the girls there. And they do an amazing job every week, as everyone knows. So you're right, Rory. That's my introduction. So
There
we're
you
bringing them
go.
up. All right, here we go.
Miss Lily
Linda
May and Miss Linda
Rose.
Rose.
Lily May.
There they are.
Hello.
Hi, thanks so
Hey,
much
Yay.
for
girls.
inviting us on tonight.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I know. It's such an honor to be on the show. I mean, I've watched the show and it's so amazing.
Oh, tell
Oh,
me what I want to hear.
you're making him very happy. You're
Big
making
head.
Rory very happy. He loves compliments, as we all do, and he
I
watches
mean,
your show.
yeah, I mean, with all the compliments
Mhm.
you've already given us within the first 4 minutes of the show, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that's
I
right.
can't
Well,
stop
and
smiling.
again, I love the
Yeah.
interview you just did with Sylvia
Mhm.
Madrano. That was awesome.
Oh, it was so
And
good.
so yeah, I've
She,
been enjoying your show, and and that one actually you upped your game on that one.
Thanks. Yeah, she was really amazing to interview, and she had so much great responses and advice. So she was just amazing to get to interview.
Been trying to get her on this show, so kudos to you there.
Everybody wants to do.
If we
working
do get her
out.
on this show, I won't be able to talk about poetry at all with her because it was all about her poetry. So we'll have to talk about her music with the ukulele.
Yeah, Sylvia, that interview, girls, was so good. I was just sitting there. Of course, I directed the pre-recorded, so I got to hear it live. But then when we played it again, it's like hearing it the second time. I realized, first of all, how professional of interviewers both of you are. You are total pros. You are so good. You were asking such intelligent, meaningful questions. And then you're right. Like Sylvia is such a great guest. She was so intentional and deliberate about every word that she spoke. And I learned so much about, I remember the girls saying, well, the same process that you use for like a poem is the same that you could transfer to music. And so everybody in the room, everyone in the audience was just learning, whether you're a painter or a songwriter, a singer, whatever, it's the same creative skill. And that was so perfect in that interview. I just loved it. And shout out to Sylvia because she's amazing.
Yes.
Definitely. And thank you guys all so much too.
Oh, thank you. You're
Yeah.
getting a lot of love in the comments. So after the show, make sure you go and everybody will be so excited to hear
Yes,
you.
Julie said hello, beautiful Lily May and LindaRose Bud.
Yes.
Thanks so much, Julie.
Yeah.
Bud
I
Ross.
always
Hey guys.
Yeah, funny story about my name. So it's still my Facebook name's still Linda Rosebud because
Mhm.
when I got Facebook, I was only like 13 when I got it, and it was managed by my grandmother, who's also the Orca Time Show editor. So she asked me if I wanted to change it from Linda Rose Bud to just Linda Rose because it's my name. I said no because I think it makes me look silly.
Oh, it's a lot of like trying to figure out what name you're going to use for showbiz, and that's a big question. A lot of people change their names. I'm still all over the place. So it's cool to see you making those decisions.
If
I
you
know.
haven't seen it yet, watch the movie Citizen Kane. I know it's black and white, but try to watch it. There's a big rosebud thing in that.
Oh yeah, that's the whole thing is Rosebud. But isn't it cool that they have
It's all
Orchid
about
Times?
rosebud.
Right, but they have Orchid Times, right, which is a flower. Then you have Linda Rose,
Yes.
and you have Lily May.
Yes.
So it's a lot of flowers. It's just a lot of fun. It's so cool.
Definitely a flower motif going there.
Lily, do you have anything to say about how you chose what you want to be your brand name and all of that stuff?
Well, when I first started my YouTube, I was like 11 when I first started it, so of course I just went with I decided just like to use my middle name, so I went with Lily May Pianist. So then I had to do a whole change, and I started singing and I started playing the guitar. So like it's now like Lily May Music, but I still haven't been able to like to change my email addresses and stuff.
I know what
And
you
I can't
mean.
remember any of my passwords for any of my emails or pages.
Same thing.
It happens. It happens.
Too many passwords. This is too many passwords.
Now, explain to us what happened to you girls during the 2020-2021 pandemic. Those 2 years when we first got thrown into the pandemic and everything. What happened to you two at that time?
Well, I before then I kept on like performing at my farmers market. That was the way I started performing and practicing my music performances. So after that, it was kind of a little hard to adjust, but I went and I started doing Facebook Lives instead because I felt like it was a good like I love performing live, and I think that doing live virtually is just so amazing. And I always like everybody who watches and follows me is just so supportive, and it just made it a lot easier.
Okay.
Yeah, I know for me, I was in like the end of my sixth grade year when COVID hit, and I've struggled with anxiety in the past, and I know transitioning from in-person school to remote was super, super hard for me, so my grandmother actually ended up pulling me out of school, and she homeschooled me for about a year and a half. I'm back in school this year though, but I know that that change was super hard, especially since it's hard to change so quickly, and it was so crazy. All the remote stuff didn't really make sense. It was way too hard. And my grandmother used to be a teacher, so it was way easier just to pull me out and do high school, but or homeschool. But now it's so much easier just to go in school now.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of depression going around. My daughter is one of the ones who suffered from this. A lot of clinical depression with kids who stayed home for years, and they were on their phones in their rooms, watching doom and gloom on the phone all the time. So this kind of triggered kind of a wave of this. So you say you suffered from anxiety. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people, a lot of teens are suffering now from kind of anxiety and depression and again, what I'm trying to get my daughter back into school now. I think that's going to help her to communicate with kids her own age. You know,
Yeah, I
um,
know that the easiest part about pulling me out of that crazy remote, just super quick switch to remote learning, was that we could start that whole entire like unit that they were trying to teach me over and go into kind of my own pace, which is easier for me because schools tend to go at a slower pace, and now especially with going into high school next year and me being able to pick my classes, I can definitely go at that faster pace, but going at that slower pace also gave me more anxiety because I felt like I wasn't learning as much being stuck behind. So I think pulling me out and going to homeschool was so much better for me.
Um, yeah, absolutely. I know. I've been
in the
homeschooled.
beginning, yeah, I think it's a good idea. I thought it was a good idea for safety.
I know, like, I've been homeschooled since second grade, but that was because, like, I tried public school for a little bit, and I had to get, like, pulled out of there because I was, like, I've always been really anxious, and public school just was not a great setting for me when I was doing it.
Yeah, my daughter has a hard time connecting to kids her own age, or connecting to anybody really, because it's a different culture. She was raised in China, so it's a whole completely different situation, a whole different culture. So um, I'm hoping I'm making the right decision by putting her back into school. We'll see.
It's really cool that we're having this conversation because I saw that Julie said I struggle with anxiety also. When we speak so openly and boldly about the truth of our lives, I think it helps everybody. Like, because in social media, there's a lot of stuff with culture on social media where you see like everyone's life looks so picture perfect, everyone has everything together. And then if you don't, you feel like you're being left out and then you feel worse about yourself. But it's so cool that we can talk about this so openly and say, hey, like nobody's life is perfect. Everybody struggles, and there's no shame in anxiety or anything else.
Right.
If you need help, you need to get help, and there are people who want to be helpers, and we are all there to support one another. Because going in on yourself or hiding problems, it just doesn't help anyone. And I'm learning that the older I get, I'm learning that. So I'm so proud of you girls. At your age, I would have never had that courage and I wouldn't have helped as many people. So you guys are really visionaries who have this amazing voice, message, and platform to make not just kids, but adults accept themselves, love themselves, and believe in themselves, and especially in the arts. I mean, I know in your show Orchid Times, you really address artists, and artists tend to be very sensitive, and it's a vulnerable thing to share your art with the world. I'd like to ask, like, Lilly May, how do you deal, you talked about anxiety, how do you deal with public performing and then like songwriting and giving the world access to your private thoughts, in your artistic thoughts? How do you do that?
So, that's a little bit like, so the weird thing is that like a really like I used to deal a lot with social anxiety, and I've learned techniques to help me. But with music, it was never something really that made me anxious. I was street performing when I was like 9 years old, and it just music never was something that made me anxious. It was more of an outlet for me, and that's when I really started and kept on playing music. And it was something that was like my outlet, playing music. So I definitely think that that really helped me. So I wouldn't say like I get like anxious with playing music or performing. So I know that like doing the talk show is something really new for me. So I had a little bit of anxiety with that. But I mean, it's more of just using coping strategies with anxiety and like not letting it get the best of you.
I wanted to ask you about Orchid Times and where and when the seed was planted to grow these flowers, to make it happen.
Well, me and Lily, we were told that we were having this opportunity. Me and Lily actually came up with the whole entire setting and pitched our idea in like 72 hours. Is maybe even less. Yeah, it was. We did super quick. We worked on it like nonstop. It was kind of something that or me personally, something that I've wanted to do for so long. I wanted to have a platform and to share stuff that like some more famous people aren't open to share because they're scared of that. And I think that it was important for me to know that, especially my lesson I've learned my whole life is it's okay to ask for help. So
Mm.
especially during
Yeah.
the our making of the plan and everything, I asked for help so many times from my grandmother because I know that at this point in my life, I've learned that it's okay to ask for it. But earlier in my life, I had no idea that it was okay to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Lily, you said you had some anxiety about it at first when you first started talking about it.
Yeah, I mean a little bit. It all like once I actually started getting it like going for me, it like all went away and it's just been super positive. If anything, it's helped me a lot. But yeah, I did. I've always been a little bit I never performing has never made me anxious at all, but when I first started talking was on a live was what made me anxious. Like my first ever live, I had really bad anxiety. Like I only talked about the weather.
Oh,
That's like a cool story though, and I feel like when you go through something like that, then you can share that story and it makes everybody feel like not so weird if it happened to them, because I feel like we all have that story. I want to give a shout out to Sylvia because Sylvia, we were just talking about you.
there she
Hi.
is.
She's
Hi,
there, and I
Susan.
and Sylvia is the one who taught me, because last year I noticed, when I met Sylvia, I would see how confident she was in her live streams, very confident. And I asked her, I said, "How do you get so confident behind the camera?" Because I did not have it. And she said, every day, I think she had done 100-day challenge where no matter how she felt, she got up and did a live stream, even if she was anxious or anything. So I started going live more often, and sure enough, the confidence started to catch up to me. She was right, but she was the initial one who schooled me on that and how to
Absolutely.
conquer that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know
Absolutely. I know
when.
that going live
Yeah,
frequently really helps it a lot.
yeah, I know when I first started going live, I was when we were doing our show live, I was super shaky the first few episodes. Like my voice was, you could like I could tell. I don't know if anyone else could, but I could tell that I was so shaky and my voice was shaky, my legs were shaking, and it was just the anxiety. Now I'm better. I still shake a little bit during my lives because I'm alone in those, and it's still a bit nerve wracking. But my actually, I have a quote. I don't know if anyone knows who Rihanna is, but she was in an interview, and someone asked her, "What do you do when you don't feel as confident?" And she says, the person says, "You just fake it till you make it," and she said, "Yeah, it's either that or cry myself to sleep." Who wants to do that? So she
It's
that
natural to
kind of
have some butterflies when you go into any kind of performance. It's
yeah
natural. I've been doing it for 40 years. It's natural.
yeah it's I was so shaky the first few episodes because I didn't know what to do. Like I was just going with the flow at that point.
There
Now
you
I have it
go.
more
Yeah.
structured and I understand it more. But at first I was just going with what the flow was going with. So
So you've done 6 shows now, and it's progressing hopefully the way you want it to. For the audience members that might not have seen some of the shows, who have you interviewed?
Well, we've interviewed like a lot of really amazing females and young females too. I know that we've interviewed Holly May, who was a violinist, and she was so great. We interviewed my little sister for a featured artist, which I know that was really, really, really fun. I'm trying to remember a few others. I know we did Kendra Dantes, who is a musician, singer, songwriter who had her original music played on the season premiere of Lucifer. And we interviewed, I'm trying to remember from this week, we interviewed my friend Lorena and we interviewed Sylvia.
Who would you like to interview on the show?
I'll let Linda go first on this one.
um it's there's so many people I'd like to interview, but I think my main person that if we ever got so big one day and I could reach out to her would probably be Dolly Parton. She's been such a big inspiration of mine for so many years. I love her music so much, and recently she was nominated for like a rock and roll thing, and she turned it down because she felt like she wasn't fit for that because she hasn't really released a rock and roll album, which I thought was really inspiring. So I love Dolly Parton, so if I could get a chance to interview anybody, it'd probably be her.
Okay, so that's your dream interview. Lily May, what would be your dream interview?
Um, there's a lot of people, but I would say the person that I would most love to interview someday would be the person who inspired me to start playing piano, which is Jennifer Thomas. She's a composer based out of Seattle, and she was one who inspired me to start playing piano when I watched her Requiem for a Tower video, and I would just be so inspiring to get to interview her. I've actually been able to meet her in person once, which was just like, it was such an amazing experience.
Okay, and I'm going to go one step further, if we dare. If you could interview a famous person, a celebrity who has passed on, who would it be and what would you talk about?
Oh, that's really hard. I mean, I think I would do Ella Fitzgerald because she's just like, she's definitely a really inspiring, and I think that she was just really inspiring as like a female in the music industry. And I would ask her more of how she developed her own style, because I was watching one of her interviews and she said, one of her old interviews, and she said, the best way to develop your own style is to mimic others. So I would love to hear more about that if I was ever.
Mine would I don't even have to think about mine. This is my answer for anything is like who would you interview if someone's there? Who could you have dinner with? Someone who's passed on. Mine's Audrey Hepburn. It'll probably always be Audrey Hepburn. I love her. She was so out there in a way. She just I don't know, something about her just I'd have so many questions for her. She was so confident in what she did, and I just think that's so inspiring because I'm still building out my confidence, and seeing her how confident she was, I want to be that confident in my life.
How would you girls describe yourself and your personality to other people?
Ooh, I know I'm gonna go with baseball with I think my best friend would say because I've been with her almost my whole life. She'd probably say I'm really outgoing. Like I don't really care. Like if someone like I don't really care like if people think I'm like weird or different. I have my personality and it's kind of crazy sometimes and sometimes I'm kind of out there and I think that in more ways than other it's better to be more out there for me because I can express myself more because I have a hard time expressing myself through the way I dress or the way I look. I have an easier time expressing myself through the way I talk or the way I present myself verbally or mentally. So I think probably how outgoing I am.
Okay.
This is a really hard question for me because I've always had trouble on these type of questions before. So I would say the same thing. Um, I don't really. I think something that is really like stands out to me about myself is that I feel like I'm a pretty confident person. I believe that I can do what I want if what I have my goals set to. I believe that. And I think it's really important for making those goals. And the same thing as Linda said, I think I'm pretty outgoing with my personality and don't try to hide stuff.
Okay. Awesome. You're both very talented show hosts, and you're very talented in your own ways. Lily May, you're an accomplished musician.
Thank
and,
you.
LindaRose, you are an author, a poet.
Yeah.
So, could I get Linda to read us something real quick, and then I'm going to ask Lily May to perform for us a little bit later on. But let's go ahead and hear what Linda has prepared for us.
Okay, so this one's called Petals of Sadness. I actually, the first line of this poem I wrote in a book when I was around fifth grade, I think. And during fifth through sixth grade, a little before that, I was diagnosed with a disorder called PANDAS, which is pediatric autoimmune neurological disorder associated with streptococcal. Basically, I had strep so many times that went into my bloodstream and created kind of like a chemical imbalance, but a little bit more in depth than that. And I wrote this basically about my time through that because it caused a lot of depression for me, and I'm still dealing with it now, but we found what works for me. So I wrote this during that time, and here it is. It's called Petals of Sadness. Sadness is like a rose. One by one the petals fall off the rose, and one by one tears trickle down my face. I fear soon I'll have none left. Soon my eyes will be dry. Soon I'll no longer be able to cry. My ability to cry will be gone, much like the petals on my rose. And
Wow,
really,
that
the
was really
reason
powerful.
the
Yeah.
reason I took my rose is because I could have chose any flower, and I didn't choose rose because it was in my name. I chose rose because people relate rose to love or happiness, and in my mind, I kind of relate rose not because it is in my name. Sometimes rose comes to me, and I think of my rough times, but I think my rough times have also really brought me to who I am today. So.
Well, and roses have thorns too, you know. So again, on one side, you can equate it with love and tenderness because people give roses, like on Valentine's Day for love and. But again, you also have to be very careful with a rose. You have to proceed carefully because it's got thorns on it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that was just a really powerful poem. I've never heard that one before, but that was just really powerful. And I know, like, I can relate to a little bit of what she said because I've also dealt with some, like, I got diagnosed with a chronic illness at 8, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is basically just a connective tissue disorder. So, like, I have a lot of, like, I can't do a lot of the things that other teens would do. And I had the problem when I was young, too, which is why another thing why I got into music was it was a different outlet for that. And it was my thing that I could do.
Linda, do you have? You said you had a second piece for us.
I do. This one, it's called Iceberg. Basically, when I think of an iceberg, I think of a rock. I know it's made of ice, but I think of a rock, and I think of a water, and I think of the tip of the rock, is just what we allow people to see and what we allow people to know about us, and then the bottom is just kind of what we don't let people see or know about us. So this one's called Iceberg. I actually had a little bit of help with this one because I had a hard time connecting. It's one of the first poems I ever wrote. I had a hard time connecting this one, so I had a little help from my grandmother on how to connect them. But yes, this one's called Iceberg. Your story, your history, it's like an iceberg. Most of that iceberg is underwater, but the little piece is showing. That's what you allow people to see. But the rest is hidden. Have you ever thought about dropping the water, letting people see that whole iceberg, letting society in? Yeah, that's
Oh
yeah.
man.
Another reason
Very,
why I
very
wrote
heavy.
that is because I still have a lot of my iceberg under the water, and I always think about letting people in, but sometimes it's scary to wonder, like, are they gonna judge me, or are they not gonna believe me? That's my biggest concern, is aren't they gonna believe me or not? So
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
I love
again,
the way you use the metaphors in both of your poems, how you use the natural world to convey what's going on in your humanity. It's just so touching. Where can we access those poems if people want to check them out and read
I
them
know
again?
John Phipps, he has like he's on this like site thing I'll be joining and posting some of my poetry hopefully on there. I'm also going to be planning me and Lily are going to start TikTok soon, so I'll probably be saying some of it there, but I can also do like lives of just me reading my poetry too. So
I just joined this week. I've been avoiding it. I just can't stand the fact that they're giving you 15 seconds to do something that people will find interesting, and people are. A lot of things that I see are just so ridiculously weird. Just like, oh man, you're trying too hard. Come on.
Yeah, like TikTok, I had problems when I was like first going on and like trying to share my music because it's hard to do it in 15 seconds.
Yeah. So now I'm doing micro impressions. I'm doing mini impressions because I do voices, and I don't even have time to set it up. I mean, I just have to do the impression and hope that they laugh at it. And that's what I'm starting to do now. Again, I just started a couple of days ago. So
yeah, I know now. I love
wish
their
you
new
luck
feature
when you
where they
get
have
on
like
there.
yeah, their new feature with the 3-minute feature is like so much better.
Yeah, I think you got to do a certain number of videos before you can do the 3 minutes, right? That's what I
I'm not
heard.
sure, but
I might be wrong about that.
my grandmother just commented something. Her husband, my grandfather, he calls TikTok blick block. He's never called it anything different. It's always been Blick Block. And I love
There
that.
you should start your own app called that, and then you could be a competitor to TikTok, and you'd make millions.
There you go.
Blick
So
Block.
And
funny.
regulate what you put on your big your Blick Block or what.
From now on, I'm gonna call it Blick Block. I think we should all agree that it's called Blick Block. BB. There you go. That is so cool.
All right. Lily May, you've prepared some songs for us. Would you like to play for us?
Yeah, definitely. I can play some for you guys. I wanted to do some of my favorite covers. I wanted to play some of my favorite covers for you guys, so I'm just gonna go ahead and set up my guitar really quick.
Okay. Now you actually do a lot of original music, though, right? You actually write a lot of songs.
Yeah, I do. I've been working on writing an EP right now. I have a few originals. I could play one if you wanted.
You're a Vegas performer, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've played on Fremont once before, but I don't perform in Vegas yet because we moved here right when COVID started. So I used to perform in my hometown of Vancouver in Washington. So I haven't really gotten to perform here in Vegas.
Do whatever you feel comfortable with. If you've prepared 3 covers, go ahead and do those covers.
Okay, sorry, my mic's back on. I had to set up my guitar. This first one I'm gonna go ahead and do is one of my favorite ones to play on the guitar. This is Hot Rising Sun.
The other
when you do the voice, you got to do this one in the finals. Okay. Okay.
I am
That was
so
wonderful.
serious. That was, I mean, go back and check the comments. And Lily May, I'm sure
Oh, yeah.
you're used to this by now. But oh my, I was in a different world. In fact, what I was thinking is after this, what I want to do is I want to make a clip. I want to edit a little clip of that, and then also of Linda Rose's poems, and just let people experience those two performances of the music and the poetry. I'm telling you, you
You
girls
girls got all
are
bases covered.
A-listers. There is nobody, I'm telling you, there's no one who writes a poem who's going to be a better poet than what we heard today. And there's no one you're going to see who's going to be better than Lily May as well as at the music. It's the best. Like there can be differences, but when in terms of quality, there is no difference than you girls and anyone out there publishing, touring, selling a million books, selling a million records. There's just no difference in quality. And to know how young you girls are drives me nuts. Oh my gosh. I don't even know
Thank
what to
Get
say.
out of
you.
my generation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you both you girls have such power in what you do.
Oh,
And
thank
you
you
know
so
the whole
much.
thing with the TV show or the social media show is just icing on the cake.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can do another.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do an original. This next
Okay.
one I'm going to go ahead and do. So right now I'm working on writing and producing an EP. This one I'm going to do is the one that I have already out. This one is which one do you think? Okay, it's hard to choose which one because I don't know if I want to do one of my unreleased ones. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do my one. It's one of my mom's favorite ones that I do. It's my siren song, I call it. It's called
Okay.
Deadly Melody. It's one that it's my most recent one I've learned. So I'm still doing like touch-ups on it, but I'm just gonna go ahead and play it for you guys today.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is my most recent one. So this one is called Deadly Melody. Cause it's siren singing sweet, sweet, thoughts that were mine made us cross the line, too far to turn back. Snarled and maniacs got pulled into the void, couldn't get out. Everyone could hear them shout, running misery, sirens singing sweet, bound up in the nose, steady melody that's chasing us, and it's killing me. Running misery, cause the sirens singing sweet,
Oh wow.
Thanks.
Very nice. Very very nice.
Thank you. Yeah.
Wow, that was did you come up with that the riff, how did you come up with that? That's
Um,
very memorable.
Thanks. Yeah. So what I did is like this is how I do it with most of my songs. Well, my sister first of all helps me. I come up with like the chords and the basis, and she helps me. And I write the lyrics, but she helps me come up with the melody. I came up with that. I figured out a chord progression, and I just like played some stuff on top of it. So like I picked a chord, and then I just like picked a few like strumming or picking patterns, and I picked one that I think flowed, and then I sang on top of it.
Yeah. So doing a lot of covers, I know a lot of bands and stuff, they play a lot of covers to learn different rules and to learn what they like, and then they can piece all of that together, you know? So that's why it's really cool to do the covers. And obviously, I mean, like we just had a comment come in about House of the Rising Sun and how a lot of us have heard other renditions by other performers and how yours
Yeah.
is really captivating in a way that is totally unique. I'm out of words, really.
Yeah,
But
you
as
can bring
a
it to a new generation, that's for sure.
yes,
Yeah,
that's
you
Thank
right.
should
you.
consider releasing that, recording it, releasing it into studio. How did you two
Thanks.
girls meet each other? I want to.
I think it was through wasn't it?
Yeah, was actually offered a show, but she's been so busy lately with me and with home stuff, so she requested me and Lily. Me and Lily and her did a little FaceTime, and I think me and Lily clicked really nicely. We got along really amazing. Now we're really close friends. And I mean, the show just,
You got a lot in
we
common.
we match each other's personality. Our personalities just they clash so well, and I think that yeah, we met through MM.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm just like throughout like all of my Facebook journey, I'm so grateful for like all of the connections I've made. I know like I've made so many great connections through Cosmos Creative and through Tardon and through all the different Facebook groups.
Okay, and for people who are going to watch this show later who don't know who MM is, I know who she is because I'm on Cosmos Creative. But can you explain who that is?
MM is my grandmother. She's also the editor of our show. So all our pre-recorded episodes, or our pre-recorded interviews, you see the edited version. Everyone out there, you guys see the edited version, but the original version, it's so messy, and she just cleans those up so nicely, and she takes a lot of her time to do it. So we definitely appreciate her very much.
Absolutely.
When I was writing up questions to ask you for this show, I'd forgotten that you didn't go live, that you pre-recorded. So I actually was going to ask you, what happens if a guest doesn't show up? Because we've had that happen on this show. Would you interview each other? But then I realized, oh, wait a minute, they pre-record. So you would just find another guest and pre-record it.
Yeah, I think pre-recording the interviews is so much easier.
Yeah, yeah.
We definitely enjoy
Preaching to the
doing live
choir.
segments.
There's something about live though that I can't get away from it because it's really exciting to do a live show, knowing that anything could go wrong at any time. And how you roll with that, but I totally understand. Getting your ducks in a row in a pre-recorded show, and again, I might end up starting to do pre-record another show that I'm doing. I'm thinking I should go that way, but anyway, I
Well, I mean,
digress.
the only thing that we pre-record in our shows is the interviews, just because of like sometimes people's internets go wrong or something like that. And
Yeah.
I mean, all the other like portions, we do live portions, which I mean, I love doing live portions.
Well,
So.
Renee will tell you how many tech gremlins we have on this show.
Yeah.
Go live. You've probably seen it. And I have to say, a lot of times we'll have problems, like if somebody's playing a guitar or a banjo or something, we'll have problems with the sound on that. But your guitar, for some reason, and we did a very short sound check before the show. We got started like 5 minutes before showtime. Your guitar just sounds so smooth compared to some other people that we've had on the show. That's great. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
Thank you. Yeah. I have it plugged into my sound editing system, and I've learned a lot through sound editing because like sound editing was really started. I started doing my own sound editing because I saw that there wasn't a lot of females in that industry. So I really, a lot of my focus has been towards sound editing, and then you had to edit my own stuff.
That's smart. Yeah, that's going to help you later on if you're doing live performances, out and about. So, sure. And Evan's making a lot of comments too during the show.
I know. Also
Going back to
the pre-recorded interviews, me and Lily we've been pre-recording like 3 interviews a week. So that we have them set up for future episodes, so that we don't have to worry about those interviews.
Also very smart. Very
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah,
The only
they. Oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry. Go ahead, and then yeah, go
no, you're
ahead.
good. The only thing it's kind of hard to do with that is that we do all of our questions through docs, and we've had like one or two instances where we forgot to name the doc, and did docs like ahead of that. So we had to scroll back through and go find the doc and then figure out who the questions were for and then name the doc, which is uh, kind of stressful because some of the questions are the same for different people. Um,
Yeah.
but mostly I think doing pre-recorded interviews is just so much easier.
There are standard questions, yeah, that you can ask just about anybody. But again, I try when I do research and when I write up questions, I try to find something that goes with the actual people that I'm interviewing. That kind of makes it different. So I'm not asking the same questions all. Hey, where are you from? So I'm not just doing that every time. So again, like I think a good example of this was one time musician Daniel Gay was on the show, and I realized that this guy is a real family man. This guy's like super dad when I see stuff on the internet on him. So I asked him some questions about being a father and what he's doing, and he was so appreciative of that. Afterwards, he was like, "Wow, Rory, you get it." So that was like the highest compliment anybody's ever paid for me for the show. So I was really very appreciative of that. Anyway, yeah, this is about you. And it's we have one more song.
Yeah, I could do another. This next
Okay.
one I'm gonna do is, I have to say, it's a more recent cover I've learned, but I think it's one of my favorites I've been able to do because I loved that I had an idea for how to change it up. So it's like a really fun one to do. This one I'm gonna be doing is Chop Suey by System of a Down.
Okay.
Wake up, grab brush and put a little makeup. Her scars to fade away the shake up. Roger leaves the keys upon the table. Here you go, create another fable. You wanted to grab brush and put a little makeup. You wanted to her scars to fade away the shake up. You wanted to Roger leaves the keys upon the table. I don't think you tried to see my self-righteous suicide. I and angels deserve to die. Wake up, grab brush and put a little makeup. High scarves to fade away the shake up. Why'd you leave the keys upon the table? Here you go, create another fable. You wanted to grab brush and put a little makeup. You wanted to high scarves to fade away the shake up. You wanted to why'd you leave the keys upon the table? I don't think you tried to see my self-righteous suicide. I and angels deserve to die. And my self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die. Further, further, further into your hands I commit my spirit. Further into your hands I have you forsaken me. In your eyes forsaken me. In your thoughts forsaken me. In your heart forsaken me. Oh, trust in my self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
Thank you.
Where do you girls get your ideas from?
Well, I know I get my ideas in the middle of the night. Um,
Okay.
sometimes I like just like randomly wake up in the middle of the night and I'll go downstairs to get a drink of water and then I'll have an idea that pops into my head and I'll have to write it down. Also I get a lot of my ideas, who's another one of my inspirations, my grandmother. I get a lot of ideas from her, because she'll send me ideas. She'll be like, oh, this is a good idea. And I get
Ab-
like 3 of those texts a day, so.
Absolutely same exact thing. And I like, sometimes like when I'm like I don't know what song to learn. My mom's like, and she sends me these TikTok links, and then I go learn the TikToks.
Yeah, the parents and the grandparents are influences. There's no doubt. Who else has been an inspiration to you two?
Um, for me, my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been me and my dad for as long as I can remember. And my dad's been my like one of my biggest supporters throughout my whole entire life. I mean, when he found out I got this idea and he saw how happy I was for the show, I think secretly he was more happy than me.
Ah,
Because the show has helped me a lot, especially with my speech, and my thinking. So.
interesting.
Um,
Interesting. It helps you with your speech. Can you elaborate on that?
I stutter a lot when I get nervous. And I think too much, I guess is the word
Okay.
for it. And I
Well,
overthink my words before I say them sometimes. And I know with the show and with me going live once a week, it's helped so much with that.
I don't know if you know them, but there's a group called Monty Python. It's a comedy group from England, and one of their members, Michael Palin, is a stutterer, but he doesn't stutter when he sings or performs. When he's playing a character, he doesn't stutter. So that was why I asked you that, because I was wondering if that was the what was causing you to stutter.
um,
A stutter's causing you to stutter.
with speech, my speech therapist actually watches back our lives and gives me input on those. So yeah.
All right. So what do you hope will happen in the future?
I hope personally that my goals for like in the future with the show is just that we're able to reach more people, because I just when we really started it, it was really because it's really hard for females to get started in whatever their chosen career paths are, and I think it's just really important that they have something that relates to their struggles, and I think all my goal is in the future just to grow it so that we can reach more people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Very
agree
good.
with Lily. I think I really want to reach, especially even maybe more men run industries or men that run industries who maybe don't see the opportunities that they can give women, because maybe if you're a construction worker they don't think maybe women don't have that ability, and I think that that'd be cool too, because it's not their fault that they don't see it. That's how a lot of people were raised, because of the
Yeah.
past and everything, which is really sad, but I think that shows like this show and a few other shows make that difference.
Okay. Very good. Very good. What can we look for in the near future with you two?
Um, well, I know that in the show we have a lot of really great ideas. We're going to be doing this week, tomorrow. We're going to be doing a really like I think it's one of my favorite interviews we've done. But we're going to be doing it with a famous runner, Mikhail Montgomery. So, um, she's actually the woman who has ran the fastest marathon in Kansas. So we're going to be interviewing her tomorrow. So yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, tomorrow our episode's the day before St. Patrick's Day.
Yes.
So we're gonna be doing something fun for St. Patrick's Day.
Because
Also, we have at the end of every month, even except this month we have an extra week, but usually at the end of every month, our last episode of the month is a Q&A episode. And basically we just it's more of a talking episode. We don't usually have an interview in those episodes, and we just kind of hang out and talk. Since it's Women's History Month, our last episode, or our Q&A episode, not our last one, it's the second before the last one, is I'm so excited for that episode because we have a really big surprise for that episode.
We're not going to talk about surprise yet, but we're going to be posting about I think we're going to be posting about it a ton on the Orchid page after after this week's episode. So
okay. So definitely, audience members look for that.
Yeah, surprises.
Renee, did I miss anything? Do you
Well,
have any other questions or any
well,
other
I
statements you need to make?
I wanted to say that Sandy had a question that we didn't get to, which is who does
Okay.
your you so to Lily May, who does your YouTube video productions? I just love your videos. Please subscribe to Lily May's YouTube channel.
Oh, thanks so much, Sandy. My mom does my YouTube videos. I do my sound editing. I've been working on sound editing, so I do all the sound editing personally, and my mom helps me with the video. So
That is so cool. Yeah, I just love the whole family vibe and everything, everybody helping each other out. Also the communities of SDF, KMH, Cosmos. It's like everybody's just there for one another. I did want to, before we leave, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, we talked a little bit about the origin story of Orchid Times, which everybody always asks about. And
Mhm.
Linda Rose did say how quickly they put everything together, but I just want to reemphasize that these girls had everything. They do so much. They work every day. Plus, they're in school. They do sports. They do music. They do all kinds of other stuff.
Mhm.
But they are so on time and professional, and I just so diligent, you know.
That's
But
what I hear.
it was so quick. It was like 2 days. I think they spent a weekend, right? Right, girls. And they had everything together. They had outlined an entire format for the show and per episode and how they were going to do things and how they were going to put it all together. And it was just mind blowing. So I learned so much from them. And I'm so inspired by them because not only are they creative, you can see how creative they are, but they're also diligent and they also believe in hard work. And if you have pure talent
Oh,
and
I think that
hard
shows on
work,
the
there's
show.
nothing
Yeah.
you can't do. I know a lot of people who are very creative, but they just don't follow through. And I know people who are very by the book, but they don't have that creative genius. These girls have it all. So nothing's going to, you can't stop them. And I'm just so
oh,
proud
thank
of them.
you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. That means so much to me.
And again, from the very beginning, I said these girls in this show are gonna, the Orchid Times is gonna take off. They're gonna get a huge bump.
Oh, yeah. And it's already,
And
we're already
you can
feeling all
mark
of
my
that.
words. I said that to Renee.
He said
And
it really early. Yeah.
Yeah,
He knows
and
talent. This guy knows talent.
I stick by that. I mean, we've obviously seen it already happening, so that's great. So
It is.
fantastic.
And Sandy might have missed, I think Rory asked a question similar, but Sandy's asking, how did you guys become friends? So if you want
Um,
to.
MM.
yeah, it was through the show actually. MM came to my mom with an idea, and then she reached out to us, and then me and Linda talked a lot about the show, and it's just it went from there.
It's incredible because I saw comments talking about your chemistry and how perfectly your personalities play off of one another and the way that you do that. It really is striking. It seems like you've been friends your entire lives.
It
It's
does.
Yeah, I
amazing.
know. Yeah, I know when we do when we FaceTime sometimes off show business, but usually when we FaceTime it's because we were doing something for our show. And those FaceTimes usually turn into a lot of off-topic laughing and stories. And like we could spend like
That's always good.
30 minutes just laughing and then 10 minutes of work, but somehow we still get it done. So
Like right before the show, we were literally FaceTiming, and then it was like 5 minutes before, and we were like, "Oh, we should probably get off."
It's so important because it's important for everybody to have that sort of friendship in the industry because the industry of course is so competitive and
It is.
it's a tough industry. So I'm really proud of you girls for being there for one another as you're taking off, as the attention is growing, as the pressure is growing. You guys will remember what it's like to come up together. And really, you'll be the only two to really understand all the different levels. So it's so beautiful that, really foster that friendship. It's a rare thing and it's so beautiful and it inspires other people, particularly female people who identify as female, to just not be competitive, but to reach out to other artists and make those alliances and allow yourself to be vulnerable around another artist and help. And it helps everybody. So you girls are really leading the charge there. And I just want to say again how proud I am to know you. And that's what
Before the
everyone
next
else is
time you
saying
come on
too.
the show, I want to see a poetry anthology from Linda. I'm like a teacher now, and this is what your assignment's going to be. And I hope that Lily May's going to release a CD, an album soon.
I'm
You know,
working on it.
get into the
Yeah,
studio.
I'm self-producing original music, and I hope to have a CD out like really soon.
I think you two girls can do it. I know you can.
Oh
There's
yeah,
no
they're
doubt in
already
my
doing
mind.
it. By the time we
And
blink,
keep doing
by
your
the
show.
t- by the time we blink, trust me, Linda Rose is going to have the anthology published. Lily May's going to have a bunch of records. These girls don't sit around waiting. They boom.
There you go.
They zip down the line. I'm so proud of them. So
Thank you,
thank
girls,
you.
so much
Yes,
for
thank
coming
you
on the
for
show.
being here. And everyone tune in tomorrow, 7 p.m. right here on Cosmos and also on Part on Media Network. These girls are going to do Orchid Times, and that is episode 7. I'm correct, right? Episode 7. Wow, lucky number 7. Okay, so thank you everybody for stopping in. Rory Penland, of course, is your host. Should we leave? What do you think, girls? Should we get out of here? It's 8:00.
FaceTime.
All right, back to the FaceTime. Bye, everybody.
Time to go to FaceTime and laugh about it.
Yeah.